Welcome to Rudy's Rasslin Report, where we talk about all things pro wrestling with your host, Jason Rudy.
Hey, dude, I gotta tell you, you better listen to Rudy's Rasslin Report. If you like pro wrestling like I do, you know you're gonna like it. You better listen to Jason Rudy. He's the man and you should listen. All right, here's Jason.
Welcome once again to Rudy's Rasslin Report. This is episode 3, where we will go over the first 6 months of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling 1982, the months of January through June, and we'll also talk about the Cauliflower Alley Club 53rd anniversary reunion that I went to from April 29th to May 2nd of 2018. So, without further ado, off we go to Rudy's Rasslin Report. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, whatever time you are listening to this. This is Jason Rudy, and I'm on location for this auxiliary episode of Rudy's Rasslin Report. I'm on location in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here for the 53rd annual meeting of the Cauliflower Alley Club. It's a great non-profit organization that helps retired wrestlers that fall upon financial and medical hardships. They're a great group of guys. They started off being a boxing, wrestling, and stuntman group, and you had to be a professional to be in it. And over time, they laxed the guidelines, and fans and friends were able to attend. And yeah, it's a really great organization. This is my second year going, and it's a highlight of each year that I attend, and I'm definitely coming back next year, and I'm going to be upgrading from a annual membership to a lifetime membership because I believe in this organization so much. What's really great is the camaraderie and the ring of friendship that is the symbol and logo of the company, which is a very true statement and ideal for this group. As I'm the type of person that I don't really speak until spoken to, and being in this group, people accept you in and talk to you, and I've literally gained between 5 and 10 new friends off each trip that I stay in contact with throughout the year on social media and so forth. So yeah, it's definitely a great life-changing experience, and it's a fun few days in Vegas. It's been held at the Gold Coast Hotel, which is over by the Rio, off West Flamingo Road, and it's fun. They giving out a bunch of awards over 2 nights. The Bockwinkel Bologna Blowout was last night, which was a Tuesday night. They gave out half the awards for the convention. It was good. They gave out 8 of the 16 awards, so that was nice. The highlight of it all so far, and of everything I know it will be, was the surprise appearance of the great Brickhouse Brown. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Brickhouse Brown, he was an amazing pro wrestler that wrestled in the 80s. He wrestled in Florida, Mid-South. He wrestled in Memphis. He wrestled a little bit in WWE, WWF. He wrestled in, all over the place, World Class. He wrestled in, like some Mid-South, and just all over the place. Worked in Oregon, worked a lot of territories. My brother and I were fans of his through the Brickhouse TV series of shoot interviews through High Spots Network, where he breaks kayfabe and tells really funny stories about everybody. Well, in the last couple of years, he's came down with prostate cancer, and he's in a stage 4 prostate cancer, and it's spread to his brain and everything. And he's dropped from 200 and something pounds down to about $125, $130. Rocky Johnson contacted the Cauliflower Alley Club board of directors, told him about Brickhouse's condition, his situation. He was being evicted from his home and everything, and the Cauliflower Alley Club stepped in. Brickhouse didn't know anything about it. It was had just learned of it, didn't know that they could help him, and they came in, and he was going to be evicted in 48 hours, and they stopped his eviction. They got the money for him to keep going and to get better. And he came out last night and accepted an award and talked about his situation and the way that the Cauliflower Alley Club has helped him. And they gave him the first ever Cauliflower Alley Club Courage Award, and it was a very emotional moment. He had Terry Funk on his cell phone that talked to the crowd, as Terry Funk wanted to be there, but he had just had abdominal surgery, a hernia surgery, and he needed to be at home resting. So, yeah, with that, it was a very emotional moment, and with them taking care of Brickhouse and doing what they're doing, I'm coming out on audio and everywhere to say that I am getting a lifetime membership, spending the money that I was going to be spending on New Japan tickets and other things, and instead putting it toward doing the lifetime membership to help the benevolent fund. So, it's a very important thing. Anyway, I would always say to people that you really should, if you're a wrestling fan or if you just love the sport in any way, that you should definitely come to this convention. It's fun, it's casual. There's so many people that are there that are not advertised, that just show up. It's literally mind-blowing. It's so awesome. Always a fun time. From people that are ultra famous to the coolest cult classic of wrestling world there is. So the range is staggering. Today is day 3, the final day for the dealer room. All that's going on. A couple seminars. They're doing the big awards banquet tonight, where they're honoring Shawn Michaels, Baron Von Raschke, Santana Garrett, Harlem Heat, Greg Valentine, if I can say him, and yeah, a bunch of others. It's gonna be really Steve Kern, and they're doing eight awards total tonight. Yeah, it was really good, and this final day, it's great. So yeah, I would just say Scott Teal was there, from Crowbar Press. A lot of great authors, filmmakers, wrestlers, creative people here. It's an amazing experience, and so yeah, that's basically what I've been doing these last few days. So yeah, this is a on the road CAC edition of Rudy's Rasslin Report, and that audio was the first bit I recorded in Las Vegas on location at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion. This year, as in previous years, it was held at the Gold Coast Hotel and Casino, right across the street from Rio. Actually, sorry, right across the street from the Palms, next door to the Rio, off of West Flamingo Avenue. It's a cool place. A lot of smokers there, so their ventilation system's not the best. Had a really enjoyable vacation, and as of May 9th of 2018, I am now a lifetime member of the Cauliflower Alley Club organization. They're a really great nonprofit group that helps out wrestlers that are in financial crisis, a medical crisis, people that are dying of cancer, of various other ailments and diseases, people that don't have enough money for burials, people that need help with medical expenses, people that need help with family problems, situations, getting in touch with people that they haven't seen in years and locating, and so much that the group does behind the scenes, and they help out a lot of people, and the benevolent fund that they do. So I went ahead, and after the 53rd reunion, went ahead and joined, and because I was a previous yearly member for the last 2 years, but went ahead and upgraded to that. It was a very great organization. had a great time there. Saw Baron von Raschke, Alexis Smirnoff, Princess Victoria, Mickey J, referee, the Harlem Heat, Santana Garrett, Steve Kern, Greg Valentine, Blue Demon, and Shawn Michaels, and all them. I spoke previously about Brickhouse Brown being in Vegas, and his really emotional speech. Meeting him was definitely a highlight. Shawn Michaels was there to receive an award, and Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Sean Waltman were there. He gave an okay speech, nothing too great, but when the festivity was over, all the wrestlers mingle with the crowd for about 15-20 minutes, take pictures, do all that stuff. Michaels and them were there less than 5 minutes and were rushed away because, I don't know, I think they think they're too good for people or whatever. I don't know. They kind of rubbed me the wrong way, as they did other people from what I've been hearing. But yeah, anyway, on to positive things. The festivity was great, and I really do encourage everyone to check out the Cauliflower Alley Club. You can find out the organization on the web, caulifloweralleyclub.com. They're really, really great thing. Brian Blair's president. Alexis Smirnoff was there. I got some posters signed from him, a Japanese poster from, I think it's like 86 maybe. He was there, 85, New Japan poster. Got a poster signed from 1977, which was his first week in the territory, working for Roy Shire. It was a card in Eureka, California, and he signed that for me. Yeah, it was really awesome. There was it's a great group. Baron von Raschke was really cool. Got pictures with him. Alexis Schmidt, Greg Valentine didn't really see too much, but he gave a really good speech. Santana Garrett was great. Princess Victoria, like I said, Harlem Heat, really great guys. Blue Demon Jr. was really, really cool. Steve Kern was really funny. We got pictures with him, talked to him. He was a great guy. He was hanging out in the dealer room for a while. But yeah, it's a great group. So I will definitely be there again next year, which will be the 54th anniversary reunion in Las Vegas, Nevada. So yeah, with that, moving on to the next topic. Mid-Atlantic. We're going over the first 6 months of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling that are on the WWE Network. Been happy with the WWE Network since I've got my internet upgraded and had the tech issues fixed. Having no streaming problems, no buffering problems like I used to have always in the past. I could pretty much set it in, play it, and record it, and don't really have any buffering issues or pausing issues or lagging or anything. Good transfer, good record rate. Been happy with that. First I'll go over kind of the first 6 months. I'm going to go over week by week, kind of not go over everything, but just kind of hit some highlights. Starting off in January 2nd of 82 is the first episode. You got Jake Roberts and Jay Youngblood teaming up. You got Ivan Koloff is the television champion. You get some local promos for the West Virginia card. Ray Stevens is in. He goes against Tony Russo. You got Barry Windham in as Blackjack Mulligan Jr. You got Sergeant Slaughter running strong with Jim Nelson. And they go up against Mike Davis and Terry Taylor. Then you go to the 9th, January 9th. You have Jake Roberts and Blackjack Mulligan Jr. teaming up. You got Billy Robinson in territory. He's only in for a short while. He's teamed up with Lord Alfred Hayes as his manager. Boogie Woogie's in there. Jimmy Valiant. Terry Taylor has a match. You get Ole Anderson and Ivan Koloff teaming up. Really strong team, and with Gene Anderson in their corner, and they go up against young Tony Anthony and Buddy Landell, future Dirty White Boy, future Smoky Mountain adversaries and teammates. Then we jump ahead to the 16th card, and I had made a few notes on this episode. On the January 16th, 82 episode, it's really interesting. There's tons of empty seats in the crowd, And usually it's always a crowded house, but there was tons of empty seats, and especially during the Austin Idol matches, you'll start seeing a lot of just empty things. It was kind of strange. You got a lot of loud women at ringside in January '82. So they especially love Vinny Valentino. Yeah. Come on, Vinny! Come on, Vinny! You got a really funny interview that's been mentioned before on other things with Jeff Sword and Doug Vines. Talk about how they're like women and they share the same places and the same. I'm sorry, they say they're like brothers. They share a lot of the same things, same places, same friends, same women, which is kind of funny. Watching some of this, I noticed Johnny Weaver was in my interpretation. Johnny Weaver was the Mid-Atlantic version of Tony Garea. Kind of a solid worker, got in, did the jobs. You see Don Cornudo moving up the ladder in early '82. Ray Stevens is in his really cool suit, bags under his eyes. He's got the really tough, low voice. Almost sounds like a frosted gravel, you know. Some of these guys look really tired or something. Jay Youngblood looked a little kind of out of it. There's a good match on there with Jay Youngblood against Ric Flair. Bob Caudle, once again, flubs people's names. On an episode of February 20th, '82, with Stan Hansen, and he calls Stan Hansen Private Nelson at the end, and Stan Hansen goes, "I'm not Private Nelson," and fixes his elbow pad, which is pretty funny. But yeah, so back to January 16th, you have the Austin Idol match I was talking about with the empty seats against Mike Davis. You get a worldwide match with Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Sr. You get Bill White against Jake the Snake Roberts. Now they're starting to refer to the Snake in his name. Still a face, though. And you get Sergeant Slaughter, Buddy Landell's a good match. January 23rd, you get Sandy Scott strips Ole and Gene of the World Tag Team titles, setting up the future Tag Team Tournament, which was a group of tournaments they claimed in different states, in different territories, that all led together to a final best-of-7 series of matches, which, in my opinion, I think it was just the best-of-7, and all the other stuff was just made up. But yeah, January 23rd, you got that. You got Vinny Valentino and Austin Idol. You got Chris Markoff is kind of floating around the area for a little while, teaming up with Ben Alexander against Jake and Jack Youngblood. I'm sorry, Jake Snake and Jay Youngblood. Porkchop Cash is in. He's singles at first, and he's going against Tony Russo. They advertise Killer Khan coming in. They show a match of him from WWF TV. You got some interviews with Austin Idol. Big John Studd's kind of floating around a little bit at this time. He leaves soon, though, but he's feuding with Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Blackjack Mulligan Sr. You got Sergeant Slaughter and Jim Nelson going against Mike Davis and Doug Gilbert, not Eddie Gilbert's brother, different Doug Gilbert. And then on to January 30th, you got the tag tournament talk. You got a really cool videotape replay interview of Eddie Graham from Florida TV talking about the tag team tournament. You got some more videotape replay of Jack and Jerry Briscoe, kind of pushing them coming in the area from Florida TV. And then you have the funny Jeff Sword and Doug Vines interview on the January 30th episode that I discussed earlier. Then you also have a cool tag match of Ivan Koloff and Austin Idol teaming up, going against Doug Gilbert and Keith Larson. I'm sorry, Don Gilbert and Keith Larson. Actually, yeah, okay. It's interesting. Then you have Don Cornoodle at the time. This is actually when he switches over. And he's teaming up for the first time with... I'm sorry. Scratch that. Don Cornoodle teams up with Johnny Weaver to go against Steve Seibert and Private Jim Nelson. And this is where Cornoodle starts his turn because Weaver hits Don Cornoodle by accident during the match. And then Cornoodle walks away at the end without really doing an interview, set up his heel turn going towards Slaughter and Nelson. And then you have VTR match of Adonis and Ventura from AWA. You got Steamboat and Jay Youngblood teaming up against Doug Vines and Bill White. And all that such. And then, let's see, February 6th of 82, You got Ivan Koloff and Austin Idol teaming up again. You got the good Flair and Jay Youngblood match I spoke of earlier. You got Private Jim Nelson against Blackjack Mulligan Jr. You have Piper going in a handicap match against Keith Larson and Tony Anthony. So that's the February 6th episode. The 13th episode, the 13th episode is missing, February 13th. So are we going on to February 20th now? Piper and Bob Caudle are the hosts for this one. Piper interviews Sergeant Slaughter. You got Gilbert and Buck Brannigan against Jake Roberts and Blackjack Mulligan Jr. Sergeant Slaughter, Vinny Valentino. You got Pork Chop Cash, another singles match. You got some more Ann Arbor promos. Piper does a really good one about the bumper stickers, the Mid-Atlantic bumper stickers. Guy Koloff, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. You got Hansen and Ole Anderson teaming up again. And now by the February 20th show, Kernodle is now one of the Sergeant Slaughter's privates. So that's that. On the 227 episode, you have Kernodle and Nelson team up, go against Mike Davis and Vinny Valentino. And in the match, Kernodle and Nelson do a doomsday device on the 2/27/1982 episode before the Road Warriors. So the Road Warriors weren't the first one to do the put the person on your shoulders, flying clothesline off the top turnbuckle move. So yeah, this predates the Road Warriors by like a year or two, whatever. You got Mike Miller, Mike George, and then Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen against Gilbert and Kelly Kaninsky in the area. Let's see, what else we got. February, more of a condensed version. Briscoe's in, Nelson and Kernodle in, Steamboat, March 13th. You have a bunch of Jake Roberts interviews. Boogie's in. You got Dave Patterson and Tim Horner. I'm sorry. Carl Fergie and David Patterson against Tim Horner and Terry Taylor. Let's see what else we got here. You got... oh yeah, this is a good one. So March 13th episode, there's some promos for a Michigan card that was coming up. And I wrote down the lineup and did a little research on it because it looked really good. So basically, on the March 13th episode, they have promos coming up for a card on Wednesday, May 5th of 1982 at the Lansing Civic Center in Lansing, Michigan. And basically, it was 5 matches, okay? And here's the matches. I don't know what order they were, but the last match obviously is the main event. You had Ray Stevens going against Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer in 1982. That's during the Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer feud, I believe. So that's like a really good time. So you have Ray Stevens versus Buzz Sawyer. Michael Hayes versus Ron Bass. A tag team match featuring Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen against Kevin Sullivan and Bob Armstrong. Wow. The Masked Superstar against Tommy Rich. And Dusty Rhodes against Rowdy Roddy Piper. So this is a joint promotion between Mid-Atlantic and Georgia Wrestling, as Sullivan and Armstrong are in from Georgia. Hayes is in from Georgia. Superstar, Rich, and that. So, and what's cool is, so I looked that up, couldn't find the results of anything like that, but I'd found a card they had 2 days later, May 7th, under the banner of Georgia Championship Wrestling, with the same workers and 5 matches. But it's cool because they have the same workers, but they switch matches, and it's interesting to take a pool of wrestlers and figure out a cool match series with each ones. So basically on the May 7th card, it was 2 days later, May 7th. This time, instead of Lansing, Michigan, they were in Dayton, Ohio at the O'Hare Arena, and Jerry Briscoe was a promoter for this. So on this card you have, Kevin Sullivan. Last time he was in a tag match with Bob Armstrong against Ole and Stan. This time it's Kevin Sullivan against Buzz Sawyer. Ray Stevens now is going against the Masked Superstar. Bob Armstrong in a singles match against Ron Bass. And you have Dusty Rhodes teaming up with Michael Hayes against Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen. And the main event still is Roddy Piper, but this time against Tommy Rich. So yeah, I thought both those cards were really good. It's interesting they use the same 12 workers and just switched the matches. First one had 4 singles and a tag, and the second one, same thing, 4 singles and a tag. So yeah, that was cool. Anyway, back to the March 13th card. Let's see. Okay, so that was that one. March 20th, you have Jimmy Valiant, you have Sergeant Slaughter singles, Terry Taylor in a single, Nelson and Cornoodle teaming up against Tony Anthony and Vinny Valentino, Jake the Snake. Nothing too really flies off the shelf on those. March 27th, you have Caudle and Sandy Scott as the interviewers. Interview Flair. You got Valiant arrives from... Okay, this is good. Valiant arrives from the airport. They played this video before in Memphis and such, and I saw the airport where they arrived, and it was on some magazine or website where they had shot pictures on the roof of this airport, and basically Boogie arrives and meets all these bikers down the street and gets on this 3-wheeler motorcycle with his hat and his smokes and everything, and puts his chew in his behind his gum and drives off with a fleet of these people through the toll booth and everything. It's pretty funny. Yeah, that one. Boogie's in the area. You got basically Mike George is in the area. Jack Briscoe arrives. It's pretty good. Guys are kind of moving in and out of the territory. It's one thing about Mid-Atlantic. It's cool watching Mid-Atlantic 82, World Class 82, and I think there's some Mid-South 82 on the network, but you can pretty much watch, some of these are synced up with each week, so you can watch 3-6 82, Mid-Atlantic, World Championship Wrestling, Mid-South, and it's almost like you could just watch each show for each week and watch them like that and see the guys float in and out of the area. Like Rick Harris goes back and forth, Jake the Snake floats around. But yeah, it's cool to see all these guys in different territories around the same time. Stay a couple months in one area, go to the next area a couple months. Let's see. On to now. April of 82, you got Tim Horner in some singles matches, Jake the Snake. You got Terry Taylor in singles. Mike Rotondo debuts in the area in April of 82. You have Ole and Stan tag match. You got Jack and Jerry Briscoe coming in. Slaughter talking. The 10th episode, 410, you got Valiant in a singles match, Fergie in a singles match, Jack Briscoe in a singles match. You got, this is good. Earlier you have, basically they're doing an interview with Ole and Stan, and Boogie Woogie Man comes out, interrupts the interview, and hits the ring, and basically he holds off Stan Hansen, Ole Anderson, and Ivan Koloff. Shit. No way Boogie could fucking take out Ole, Stan, and Ivan. I'm sorry. You had basically Valiant and Koloff was the feud, and Ole and Hansen was the second tier to the feud. Boogie, during this time, wore the following trunks. He had Chewbacca in cursive on the cursive font on the butt trunks. And then he had Long Tall Sally, which was another one of my favorites. Slaughter, when he came in 81, he won the U.S. title tournament. And he was still champ in April of 82, 6 months plus. Piper in 82 this time was 27 years old. What else do you have here? Jake does a DDT in a few matches before his knee lift, then abandons it around March. Mike Rotondo debuts in April 82 for Mid-Atlantic. And they have King Kong Mosca and Killer Khan coming in as a tag team. They had said that they had won some of the tournaments in another area. You also had the Hawaiian regional winners of the tag tournament, Wahoo McDaniel and Morocco, which was total work. Anyway, because Morocco came over from WWF at this time, or Florida, and Wahoo was just floating around. Just went to Japan and toured. Caudle loves to say the privates of Sergeant Slaughter, which is pretty funny, quite a bit, especially nowadays. Morocco is wearing a Patience My Ass t-shirt. Paul Jones works a match and goes into a cool version of the figure 4 leg lock. He went into it a different way than I've seen a lot of other guys go into it. So let's see, back to April 10th. You have Bill White, Jack Briscoe go at it. Okay, so Jimmy Valiant gets blinded at this time by the Ninja, which is Mr. Pogo. And Pogo sprays green mist in his eyes and is attacked by Ivan Koloff and Gene Anderson. Gene Anderson is now the manager of Pogo. He went from Jim Holiday to Gene Anderson at this time. You got Kernoodle Nelson still working pretty steady as a team each week. April 17th, you got the Boogie Woogie Man with, now he has an eye patch on his eye after the mist attack. And actually, it was interesting, the Manhattan Transfer song Boy from New York City plays during this part, which on the network, it's always changed on every other appearance, but somehow on this episode of 4/17/82, the Manhattan Transfer song makes its way into the episode. They must have slipped. You got a good singles match with King Kong Mosca and Vinny Valentino. Terry Taylor and Tony Anthony against Kernoodle and I think it was Nelson at this time. And then on to April 24th, you got Morocco and Wahoo's debut as a team. They come out there and talk. That's the one where Morocco has the Patience My Ass shirt. Paul Jones match. You have Slaughter against Tony Anthony. Ken Timms and David Patterson against Wahoo and Morocco. And then Morocco and Wahoo finish off with the interview. May 1st, you start the Roddy Piper Jack Briscoe feud. Bill White and Carl Fergie go against Wahoo and Don Morocco. Terry Taylor goes against Don Kernoodle, which is a good match. Piper against Keith Larson, and the main event is King Kong Mosca and Killer Khan against Tony Anthony and Ron Ritchie. The May 8th 82 episode is missing from the network, so we're going to jump to 5/15/82. Piper attacks Tim Horner. Jack Briscoe defeated Piper for the Mid-Atlantic title this time, so it went from Steamboat to Piper to Jack Briscoe now. You have Killer Khan in a singles match. King Parsons debut, the future Iceman King Parsons, but now just King Parsons at this time, beats Tony Russo. Angelo Mosca in a singles match as well, beats Kelly Kaninsky. Mosca is pretty stiff in some of these matches. You'll see him later. Potato. These guys billed as the Samoans, but they're not the Wild Samoans. They're some other guys I don't know. Skinny guys. Finishing up here close, May 22nd. You get Morocco and Wahoo in a tag match. Briscoe in a singles. Killer Khan in a singles. King Parsons singles. And main event is good. Mike Rotondo against Sergeant Slaughter. It's a good solid match. May 29th. You have the new U.S. champ, Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo McDaniel, in this time, beat Sergeant Slaughter for the U.S. title. Morocco had came in with Wahoo. Basically, the story was Morocco was in Hawaii. Wahoo approached him. They won some tournaments. Wahoo talked Morocco into following him back into the Mid-Atlantic territory. Morocco was waiting for the tag tournaments to finish with Wahoo, but in the meantime, Wahoo wins the U.S. title from Sergeant Slaughter, and Morocco is mad now because he's left stranded and without a tag partner because Wahoo can't continue in the tag tournament. And in the meantime, Morocco moved out here, got his life settled, and now felt betrayed by Wahoo. So he gets mad at Wahoo being U.S. champion and starts attacking Wahoo. And in this time, Morocco goes from face for a few weeks back to heel, which is his better persona. And he goes full heel on Wahoo McDaniel at this time. Piper, let's see, Jack Briscoe, they have a big brawl with Piper and Jack Briscoe. You have Jake Roberts and Johnny Weaver against Kernoodle and Nelson in a great match. Mosca and Kelly Kaninsky. May 22nd, you have Morocco and Wahoo. I'm sorry, I'm jumping back. Never mind. Back to where we were. May 29th. May 29th, you have like I said, the new U.S. champion, Wahoo Morocco. They start having their little bit of self. Then they have a match right after that, and then they show the videotape replay of Wahoo beating Slaughter for the U.S. title. And then you have Ivan Koloff and the Ninja against the Samoans, which I thought it was going to be Offense Sika, but it's not. It's these two skinny guys, I think from Florida or the Georgia area. And now we're into June, and we have last 4 episodes. We got Jimmy Valiant, Mike Rotondo against Ivan Koloff and Steve Seibert. Jack Briscoe and Paul Jones teaming up in a great team. Mosca and Slaughter against the Samoans. This is the match that Mosca stiffs the Samoans, and if you watch it back, they're not very good workers, so Mosca really puts it to him, which he was known for. If you read Bob Backlund's book, he talks about working against Mosca. June 12th, you got the interview with Morocco, has his heel turn now. So basically from May 29th is when he learned about Wahoo winning the belt. A week later, starts doing mid-turn, and then by 2 weeks later, June 12th, he's full heel. Morocco heel, and then you get a great match with Jack Briscoe and Magnificent Morocco, and Morocco and Piper team up and have a team building now, and they team up against Jack Briscoe and beat him up. Piper comes out and interferes in the match with Morocco and Briscoe. King Parsons now is teaming up with Pork Chop Cash. You have them, they go up against the Monk and Pretty Boy Fergie and beat him. Paul Jones works against Ken Timms. You have a 6-man tag with Ivan Koloff, Angela Mosca, and the Ninja going against Kelly Kininsky, Mike Rotondo, and Mike Davis. And great Piper Morocco interview at the end. June 19th, you have King Parsons working against King Kong Mosca in a great match. Briscoe against Reynoso. You have the Ninja and Ivan Koloff teaming up against Richie and Nick and another guy. And Oliver Humperdinck now comes in as the manager of the Ninja and Ivan Koloff. He comes in from Florida as he mentions Jack Briscoe and the feud with him. And now Gene Anderson steps away from the Ninja, so now it's Oliver Humperdinck owns the Ninja and Ivan Koloff. You have Paul Jones, Jake Roberts teaming up against the Monk and Private Nelson. And Jay Youngblood's back from a Japan tour with Ricky Steamboat. So June 26th, last episode of June, here we go. You have Jack Briscoe, Ricky Steamboat interview. You have Matt Bourne coming into the area, teaming up with Steve Seibert, and they lose to a great tag team of Jack Briscoe and Ricky Steamboat. Piper goes up against Jake Roberts in a really cool match of 6/26/82. Future legends, Roddy Piper and Jake Roberts. Jimmy Valiant against Bill White. You get Slaughter, Kernodle, Nelson against Kininsky, Mike Rotondo, and Mike Davis again, 6-man tag. Different opponents this time. Ollie Bay, Ken Timms against Jay Youngblood and Wahoo. And we have finishing up interview with Paul Jones and Jack Briscoe. Let's see. Last notes of 82. May 15th, Jake used the DDT. Colonel kicked out the 2 count. Paul Jones called it a brain buster. Mike Rotondo did a really good version of the airplane spin. Nobody really does the airplane spin anymore, and it's kind of lost to time. It's a good move. People should bring it back. Private Kernodle lost tag titles to Pork Chop Cash and King Parsons at the time. Slaughter loses the U.S. title to Wahoo. Slaughter and Mosca team up. Mosca Potatoes and Stiffs the Samoans. Pork Chop Cash coming in. Why do you wear those cutoff shorts? Do you think they look cool or interesting? Slaughter regained the U.S. title from Wahoo after a few days, weeks, when Wahoo no-showed the match. I guess he was injured. Morocco attacked him. Pork Chop claims that my man King Parsons has more moves than a bowl of jello, which is pretty funny. They had a trial period during this time where all the matches had no DQ or count out, and it was good for title changes. It was a good idea, I thought. And then after like a month period, they went back to normal while the NWA board reviewed all the results from the time period to see if waiving the DQ and count out rules helped or hurt the league. I thought it helped. Good angle. The Ninja was in Mid-Atlantic while the Crate Kabuki was in World Class at this time. They both sprayed green mist, had kind of the same gimmick, which was interesting. Of course, Pogo Ninja took it from Kabuki. June 19th, I mentioned, Oliver Humperdinck comes in to manage Ninja and Koloff now. The Ninja went from when he debuted in October 81 with Jim Holiday to Gene Anderson to like a free agent with Mosca and Koloff, now to Oliver Humperdinck in June 82. On that June 19th episode, Jay Youngblood returns from Japan tour. Jake Roberts returns from a eye injury and has changed. He said he's now cold inside, so he's starting to slow heel turn. later on in the year, he goes to Florida and does the full heel turn as he dresses as Santa Claus and helps Kevin Sullivan. June 26th, you have Wahoo returns, and Steamboat returns from a Japan tour with Jay Youngblood. The Jake and Roddy match I talked about, Briscoe and Steamboat talked about, teaming up. And Paul Jones now is feuding with King Kong Mosca, and he calls him Ding Dong Mosca, and Mosca gets mad and says, "My name's King Kong, not Ding Dong." So yeah, that's pretty funny. So basically that wraps up my Mid-Atlantic 82, the first 6 months. Quite a bit of wrestling, kind of jammed into about a 30-minute synopsis or less. Hope you enjoyed it. I would say, yeah, definitely watch it. Just like everything, there's some weeks that are straight ahead, some weeks are better than others. But it's a good 6 months of 82. You see a lot of future guys that are legends and that are amazing in their prime. So check it out. And this wraps episode 3 of Rudy's Rasslin Report. And I will see you again on episode 4, where we will go over the first 6 months of 82, some New Japan Pro Wrestling talk of 86, 87, and some 2018 ideas. And we go over some early dubbing days of recording wrestling and different ways to do it back then in the 80s. So, all right, this is Jason Rudy signing off for Rudy's Rasslin Report. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to Rudy's Rasslin Report. We leave you till next time.